Thank you for joining us tonight, January 15th, 2026. This meeting has been called to order without any objections, where we have a quorum. Thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight. We want to remind you that this meeting is being recorded live. So again, welcome to everybody. The third item on the agenda, after calling to order and welcoming you, is to review and approve the December 18th meeting minutes. Is there a motion to approve those meeting minutes?
So moved.
So moved. Do we have a second?
Second,
All those in favor with approving December 18th, 2025 meeting minutes, raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
The ayes, any nays? The ayes have it, so December 18th meeting minutes have been approved and therefore will be added to the minutes. The next item, which is at 3B, 3 Bravo, is to, or 3 Alpha actually, is to approve tonight's agenda, January 15th agenda for tonight. Is there a motion?
I move.
Second.
Mr. Williams, all those in favor with approving tonight's agenda, January 15th, 2026, say aye, give me a thumbs up.
Aye.
Any yeas? The ayes have it. This meeting agenda has been approved tonight. Member Vice Chair Luberis, you want to give us a sound check to make sure we can hear you? Just a quick sound check, make sure there's no problem, please.
yeah, there we go. Thank you, Chair. Apologies for joining in a little behind. My camera is off. I'm a little under the weather today, so I'll spare you that. But I'm here and I can hear you loud and clear.
We can hear you as well, Vice Chair. Get well soon, please, especially that little one and the wife needs all the energy you can muster, my friend.
Yeah, well, that little one is the cause of the weather. But yeah, we're working on that. Thank you.
Okay, great stuff. The next action item is we're starting off, this is our first meeting of the new year. So again, welcome all members that are present now, and we extend that welcome to those who are coming on later. But with that said, this being the first meeting of the new year, where we're going to kind of reposition our posture and maybe increase our footing or establish our footing with an even greater direction. Is there any board requests to start there immediately to start off with? A board request of the staff or even of the chair of anything? The chair recognizes Chuck.
Oh, okay, I thought George had his hand before me, but
Oh, did he? Oh, how about if you start and we let vice chair come behind you? How about that?
okay.
Go ahead, Chuck. You start and
Oh,
then the vice chair will come
okay.
behind you.
Okay. Yeah, the request that I have, yeah, I see our council is there today. Thank you very much. It's good to see you. Happy New Year. I have a request to see how proactive we can be in terms of what our legal ramifications are. I understand that there are things that we requested from the ACC or trial board that it's been communicated to us that we cannot have. I'd like to know the parameters of that and what we can and cannot ask for. Secondly, based on the situation that we had with the Tacoma Park Police, I'd like to know what our possibilities are to override that if need be and go to the Tacoma Park or any jurisdiction within Montgomery County's council or mayor in order to get the questions answered that we're looking for.
We'll do that.
Hey, if I could just ask a question, just to make sure.
Citizen Council.
Thank you, just to, Chuck, just to understand your questions. The PAB's, first question was becoming more proactive, what can you do legally and the ramifications? What do you mean by that question? I wasn't clear with that.
Well, I can give you the specific example. We requested last year some information, and we were told by, I believe it was ACC, that we can't have that information. So I'd like to know what information we can have. What are the parameters or limitations of the types of information that we can request from ACC and or the trial board?
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, and then the second question I have for you, Chuck, is that you mentioned the reference to the Tacoma Park Police. Are you talking about?
Yeah.
Are you talking about the letter in response to questions that were posed by the PAB?
That is correct.
And then the PAB submitted their response. You submitted your response to that.
Yeah, that is correct. Yeah.
And your question is, if the PAB poses questions and a LEA refuses to answer, what is the recourse of the PAB?
What are the legal recourse of the PAB? That is correct. Obviously, the chief of police of that jurisdiction has someone that they report to. Do we have the ability to go over their heads and go directly either to the mayor or to the council for that jurisdiction?
I will respond to your questions in due course after I'm able to review them and analyze them.
Thank you.
I want to make sure I'm tracking too, that we're going to give it to vice chair. But we're talking about the September 15th letter in response to the August initial August invitation that happened, may have been the 16th of August or whatever that was, then the September 15th response, and then our October re-response to that. Am I tracking right? That's the specific thing?
That is correct.
Okay.
And as I said last month, in words of Teddy Roosevelt, speak softly, but carry a big stick. So I want to know how big of a stick we have to work with. Not that we want to go around like a bull in a china shop, but we need to know when to use it when we get pushback from any of these jurisdictions.
Chair, yes, may I ask, on the phrase my way, and thanks Chuck for bringing this up. I guess what power or what authority do we have in order to discharge our duties? Because if we lack information, then we feel if that absence of information prevents us from discharging our duties to the fullest, what is our recourse?
And I have a question, because I haven't been to other meetings, I don't think that, or the last meeting, there wasn't any further discussion after the last meeting.
Right,
When I say discussion, I mean there was no exchange with the LEAs regarding this issue.
right, because they made their position clear. And we as a PAB heard, respected, heard their position and respected it. But then our response did not warrant a after-action meeting based on that initial.
And there has been another meeting where questions were posed that weren't answered. Is that correct?
Say, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Was there another meeting where questions were posed that were not answered after that response?
No.
As far as the LEAs were concerned, that's the only one that I know of. I was just caught a little off guard, taken aback by that. Frankly, I thought asking questions in advance, I have been critical of that being a scripted situation, but I accept the fact that it's a courtesy to give them time to be able to research and prepare to respond to the question. The last thing that I expected was to have them come back to say that we feel that that's out of your jurisdiction. So
So in answer to that, to your question there, the board decided to, after we read our response to their September 15th response to our August invitation, we made clear what we believe our mandate is, and we made it clear that we have the independence of executive overwatch to move in a direction that allows us to fulfill that mandate.
I have a copy of it.
Right.
This was a statement that you made. So just to be clear, there's been no subsequent meeting where the police, the LEAs have been posed questions by the PAB and they declined to answer after that.
Nothing after that.
Okay, just making sure I was clear on that.
So does Tacoma Park think that this is a dead issue? Or do they think that there may be some more?
Well, it would depend, I believe, on the boards this year, coming into 2026.
Okay.
What our direction is and what we feel, because the meetings, we carry, as the chair and members, we carry the meeting into what direction that we want it to be, that best fits our agenda and what we're trying to accomplish. If we want to go back into something like that, that would be a board's decision. If we want to continue move forward in 2026 from what we've accomplished in 2025 and what we've presented in our 2025 annual report and move into the next phase, then, that's the board's right decision and power to do so. If that answers the question. George, Vice Chair.
Thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to bring back something we talked about at the end of last year when we submitted our annual report about the potential to translate the report into multiple languages. So I just wanted to bring that back and ask if there's any updates on that, and if not, sort of what the next steps we would need there or would be.
Would that question be to the staff? I know it is, but I just want to clarify.
Yes, please. If Laura or Forrest can provide any additional information, that'd be great.
Yeah, that's going to be item 6A2 of the staff report.
Outstanding.
Perfect. Thank you. Sorry, I put the cart before the horse there.
All right, so we can wait to get there. Are there any other board requests of the board to council, to the staff? Any other? Before we move to the next action item? All right, none heard. We will move to the next action item, which is the chair's, it says report, but I'll make it a slash kind of, maybe a motivating, encouragement on what direction that I would like to see the board take, in 2026. I believe that with what we accomplished in 2025 and the annual report speaking to that, I would like to see us move in a direction of, if you will, now what? What are we doing from here now that we shared 2025? When we made these recommendations, We were very clear in the recommendations, very specific in our recommendations, based off the analysis and research and the trends that we found based on those analysis and research. Now what? How are we going to move this forward with our collaborative uh, uh, reciprocal relationship with the municipalities? How are we moving this forward now? What steps we can take to move it forward this year to help strengthen the recommendations in our 2025 report. I think it's a good direction to start off a meeting with. We made a lot of recommendations, good, strong recommendations. And I think working from those recommendations first, or at least prioritizing them while we simultaneously work on anything else that comes up, will allow us to be a lot more impactful, because now we're creating an action line and a storyline that says, okay, 2025, this is what we came up with, these are the trends, these were the recommendations, and now from here going into 2026, we see some other actionable plans that we can put in place that legitimize those recommendations before the council and then hopefully up to the state legislature. Is what I would really encourage, and I'm encouraging the board that we move toward. Also, I would like, I think the board should focus again with making it very, very clear, visible, and as far as broadcasting, marketing who we are in 2026. I think we should prepare this coming spring into summer, that we have a lot more outreach and be prepared for them, as opposed to waiting till the last minute, the last week, or within that specific month, whatever that may look like or sound like. If we start now, we can set up an ad hoc, or continue it, or we can kind of interchange some of the 2025 ad hoc members, outreach members, kind of put new members on there, like Mr. Usano and others, and start to build an agenda or an item, an itinerary that goes into starting in spring, saying, hey, here's a forum that we could do well at with advertising who we are. Here's another forum that maybe it's a law enforcement agency community engagement event that we could be a part of, be there, have it in play already with our staff, that they have the flyers and the tables and the whatever it is that we need, because I really know and believe that this year we really want to establish ourselves as a presence in the community through being visible, a lot more visible as a PAB. That was that. And working again from those, I think it was, I don't have it in front of me, I'm sorry, but I think it was at least 6 to 7 recommendations that we had in 2025, or was it more?
6.
Was it 6?
6. I don't have it in front of me.
6 or 7 recommendations that we made, which is easy for us to go back into, to really, really target those this year, build from those this year, because we want to answer the question, now what? Now what? I also would like to see if we could be more, view more, or look into more the differences that the local LEAs reports in their report, what they look like compared to what we've researched. I don't know if anybody had a chance to go back and look at excuse me, the MCPD's 2025 annual report. That's online, you can find. their numbers and what they and how they're seeing it. I think it's good for this year for the PAB to kind of have that as also a part of how and what we are researching and analyzing for trend purposes. And that's on all of the municipalities, not just the MCPD, but the Tacoma Park, all of them, which will help us again move forward in answering now what. And just start off with that now as we prepare now, separating with our ad hoc groups to get that. In that, I think it would indirectly address some of the issues that Board Member Williams just rightfully brought up for special counsel. And staying ahead of that, we'll begin to make it very clear on what our mandate is and how broad it is, and set a relationship and a clarity and a transparency with the community that involves law enforcement of who we are and how we're doing it and where we're going. That's all I have as the chair report in that.
I think every one of those is a very good suggestion for the new year.
Sir, Chuck, I see your hand.
Yes, thank you. Yes, Mr. Chair, thank you very much for that vision. I wholeheartedly concur with you in what you're saying to get our presence out there. To that extent, as I had mentioned once before, I discovered through the Prince George's County PAB that there is grants that are available from the state for outreach. And I think that we should look into that and see how that might further advance the vision that you're putting forward. I would also, if I can, like to add to that, I think we need to have some additional legislative awareness. In a meeting that we went to with PABs across the state in Baltimore, it was brought up that there is one county in southern Maryland that is attempting to water down the Accountability Act and sort of make some of the requirements kind of wishy-washy so that it's not clear cut as to what the mandates are. And I think we need to stay on top of that with whomever our contacts are in Annapolis to make certain that things of that sort do not happen.
Copy that. Before I call on anyone else, if there's anyone else, to the staff, I would really like the theme to be 2026, now what? It's a good thing to work for me. So now what? With all that I said, I'm sure you guys were taking the notes and we had a recording. But we really want to create this amicable, reciprocal, and mutual relationship that's visible and transparent with the community, that we're moving somewhere, working from those recommendations. So thank you again. I didn't want to miss anybody. I didn't see any other hands.
Actually, I'll take a moment here because I think we can take your, I believe your third or your second recommendation about being more visible, greater outreach, and tie it in with what Mr. Williams said. To the extent that we could reach what I perceive as maybe three audiences, and there may be more: the citizenry, government legislators, elected officials, and the LEAs themselves. Kind of three distinct audiences. To the extent that we can reach out to them, as Chuck was bringing up, I think that by reaching out, we may be able to prevent any bodies from undercutting the act or watering it down, if we can demonstrate with our outreach the benefits that we provide to the society.
Good. I would like, again, to see that outreach involved with like the linking project. Which is, a project headed by Anita Powell, in the Rockville area. Uh, uh, Under Montgomery County. She does extensive work to the underserved, underprivileged, marginalized communities. Being able to reach out to them for them to understand and recognize or even have an awareness of the PAB and its mandate. Other groups, we could reach out to help carry our message out is, like, Surge, 2.0, Black Ministers Conference, NAACP, the hate group that works under the Office of Human Rights. Uh, Therefore, creating a broader group of people that now can take our message to their supporters to help get out, because I would like to see, even during our quarterly meetings with one or more LEAs, I would like to see more citizens at those meetings. Because of the PAB's relationship and presence in that community of those citizens. So I really would love to, again, just start off running toward that this spring and this summer and even going into the fall before 2020, late 2026 winter into 2027. Ken, I saw your hand, I believe.
Yeah, I'm just kind of piling on this theme. I think it's a great idea. It's actually, one of the tasks I've enjoyed and found most meaningful in this position and in prior positions on the Commission on Human Rights, attending community functions, just simply being present and, being there amongst others. And, hoping that in the future we can work with our staff, to have flyers, handouts. People like to touch things. I have a, little rubber band from the Commission on Human Rights because people like stuff. And of course, we want to be good stewards of the county's money, but if opportunities are available, just to have our name and awareness and a website on there somewhere. We had these pins we could wear that I still kind of treasure. Probably should give it back because I'm not a member of the Human Rights Commission anymore. But if we get them for us, we stand out. We can point to something. Hey, this is who I am, and I'm there in this county capacity.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Good idea again. So we're going to just continue to add to this. And again, and I'm going to move on, but I think that launching PAD should be the recommendations that we gave. That should be our priorities, which we're working off of now toward answering now what. So thank you, everybody. I didn't miss anyone. Any other comments? Not heard. We will move on to the next action item, which is our staff report.
Thank you, Chair. Ms. Byers, the monthly complaint report, if you please.
Yes, this is the monthly complaint report for December 2025. Through the portal, we received 5 complaints. 3 were defined as eligible by Montgomery County Police, Department of Police, sorry. 1 was defined as eligible by the Rockville City Police Department, and 1 was defined as ineligible by Montgomery County Sheriff's Office. Complaints received through other methods, we received 16. 1 was defined as eligible by the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office and is currently under investigation. 12 were received by the Montgomery County Department of Police. 11 are eligible and 1 and under investigation and 1 is ineligible. 1 was received by Maryland National Capital Park Police and is eligible and under investigation and are within state ACC jurisdiction. Therefore, no additional information can be reviewed on a local level. We also received 2 from Rockville City Police Department that are eligible and under investigation. That concludes my report. This will be on the website, Mr. Gilman.
Thank you. First, the 2025 annual report submission, your official publication to the county executive and the county council happened on December 30th, 2025. On January 5th, 2026, the report was published on the board's website and subsequently made available to the chiefs of police and the sheriff. As of the first of the year, I believe, first and second, the board's viewer has been updated with the Q4 data, consisting of 24 new cases with 38 respondents and 67 allegations. Regarding the board's initiative on having information about trial board requests, we're still pending response from the ad hoc group for next steps there. In the meantime, I'm going to continue reporting out the information verbally. There was one new trial board request this month for MCPD. That is scheduled for February 18th to February 20th from 9 to 5. It is a 3-day trial board. Additional information can be found on the Montgomery County Department of Police Internal Affairs Division page, including some references to the types of charges that are going to be reviewed by the trial board and information about how to attend if you are interested. The first bill related to the Police Accountability Act for this legislative session has been filed, received its first reading yesterday, and is scheduled for a hearing on January 27th. Title being Police Discipline, Order to Show Cause, Senate Bill 0202. That primarily goes to the work of the attorneys who represent the departments, the municipal and county departments, since they're the ones who actually try the trial boards. But the effect of that bill would be authorizing a police officer who is denied a certain right at any time to apply to the circuit court for functionally for interlocutory relief of an order to show cause. So an identical bill was filed in the 2025 legislative session. It did not proceed past its referral to committee. Regarding legislative matters, a few different prongs there. To the extent that the board wants to pursue legislative changes at the state level, the sooner that you can work with likely your special counsel to draft that legislation, the better. The legislative session is notoriously short, and all the bills that are being filed currently, the work began on those some time ago. That general guidance is if you are a department or an agency or a body that would have the right to engage directly with the legislature, that you would need to have that material fully ready and briefed by September. You'll want to aim earlier. Boards, committees, and commissions cannot lobby the state legislature unless they have specific language in their county statute approving them to do so. Those efforts do have to be ratified by the Office of Intergovernmental Affairs. So you can still apply and ask that the county executive, county council endorse, adopt a particular position, but it's not something that without county law providing that it can be done, is not something a board, committee, or commission are able to do. They're limited to their whichever bodies are specified in their enabling legislation. let's see, received a message earlier today, which is why it does not appear here, from the Baltimore City Police Accountability Board, inquiring if members of their leadership could have an opportunity to meet with members of the executive committee of this board, or where you designate the executive committee for the purposes of county function, be the chair and the vice chair currently. They're going to be in town February 23rd to 25th. If those dates weren't feasible for the board or for board members to meet with them, they are welcoming suggestions of alternative times through March. The budgetary update for special counsel that we skipped over in December for the purposes of time. The expenditures for the administrative charging committee in December of 2025 were $4,801.50. Therefore, the committee's expended $38,287.50 total for the fiscal year, which leaves $71,712.50 of their tranche. The board expended $1,575 in December of 2025. That's a fiscal year total of $15,223.50, with $24,776.50 of the tranche remaining. Our recommendation, part of an opportunity to do your closed session, is figure out how you want to deploy council this year. In particular, how you want to approve questions. You could adopt a policy where any member can ask a question that gets pursued and researched. If given the direction that the budget is going in the county, I would be cautious. And like any other communication, be productive for the board to approve questions together, review them together to make sure it's a question that you all want to answer together, and potentially, given the amount of expertise that exists among the members of the board, that there may be times that you're actually able, in a position to answer the question for each other without to either refine the question or get it answered completely. The general annual calendar is included in the agenda. So of course, at meeting 1, we would suggest perhaps at your as a component of your next meeting, considering how you want to perform your quarterly review of committee outcomes required under the state and local law. On tap for the February meeting, identifying topics that you want to potentially focus on for the the 2026 annual report. Because of course, now that we are in 2026 and we're already a whole 15 days into it, it's time to start thinking about the annual report for 2026. That'll be a good opportunity to figure out which ad hoc groups you need, which may not be functionally active anymore, which you want to retire. So that way you can have a clear set of working groups as you move through the year. It's recommended that each group that is performing one of these tasks commit to some relevant amount of reported information per month or per quarter. Now, if it's something that goes to the heart of what's required of you under law, like your trend analysis, that may be more things in a given quarter. Other groups, you may be able to summarize with less. it's easier to trim once you get close to the final months than it is to stack on right at the end, especially if you want to build in more things like contemporaneous translation, which apologize, I missed at the discussion of the annual report submission. So we contacted the Office of Language Services, and at least as far as getting this report translated into Spanish, it's something they can do, and that they can do with existing county resources without charging the board any additional funds. They anticipate that it's going to take them about a month to translate the material from your report. While the translation unit does serve some other languages, Amharic, Chinese, French, Korean, and Vietnamese, the office didn't immediately answer whether or not those would be feasible. You may want to assume that they are not. The report does technically exceed what the office guarantees for county departments and county boards. Usually they limit you to 15-page publications, but they did agree to take this on to help you get the word out. Turning to the annual calendar, March is currently one more item for February. It's going to borrow from what is currently item 8B, selecting new date for a presentation from Mr. Silver. After the publication of the agenda, had an opportunity to speak with the chair, who authorizes to send an invitation to Mr. Silver for the February meeting. He indicated he is available. We will get to follow up with him. As a reminder, he is the executive director for the Maryland Police and Training and Standards Commission. He had been scheduled to meet with you last year, but had to cancel due to a family emergency. But he's excited to come meet with you now that we've entered the new year. March, currently slated to be your first meeting with one or more LEA directors. It would be prudent at this meeting to determine who you want that to be, whether that's a group, whether you want to try and get all of them, whether you want to try and get a particular set, or if you just want to do one. That way, whoever you want to invite, we can send out the invitation sooner rather than later and give you as much time as we can to prepare what sort of questions you want to ask, what you want to engage in with them when they come. The fourth meeting, April, will be the review of quarterly outcomes from the first quarter of 2026. And also, if you're going to be submitting any questions in advance or asking them to produce particular documents at the next LEA meeting, which is in May, that'd be the time to do that. The May meeting, you're meeting with the LEA directors for quarter 2. Meeting 6 puts us at the end of the fiscal year and halfway through the calendar year. By this time, it's recommended that you have a general outline of all sections for the annual report, particularly if you want to, again, do things like translating simultaneous to publication, or having more advanced visuals or anything else that requires the support of additional county departments or services. The July meeting, at that point, you'll have the Q2 data for the review of ACC outcomes for Q2 of 2026, and can submit or prepare your questions for the Q3 meeting with chiefs in August. August, of course, you're meeting with LEA directors. Meeting 9, recommended by this time you have at least rough drafts for all sections of the annual report. Meeting 10 in October, review of ACC outcomes for Q3 of 2026. You will have received any substantive feedback on any draft materials for your annual report. That would also be a prudent deadline for any recommendations that you want to make that you come up with as an individual member and that you want the board to consider so that everyone has an opportunity to think them through. And ideally also come up with ways to expand and specify them. So you can have not just beyond, we're going to reinforce structural and policy goals with specific actionable items or ways that you would measure success in whether or not a department or a legislature meets your aim. Meeting 11, your final meeting with LEA directors for the year. And meeting 12, of course, approval of the annual report for 2026. This year, as luck would have it, none of your meetings fall on a holiday. So the third Thursday actually worked this time. So you're currently not in a position where you are required to reschedule it. Of course, you can if you wish. And that concludes the staff report.
Great. Wow. May I ask a question on translations?
Chair recognizes Sue.
Thank you. And just a question, I don't know, I understand why it would be difficult to translate the entire annual report in many different languages. Can we conceive of, and maybe this is part of your plan as we go forward, conceive of partitioning the report such that there are parts that are shorter that would be valuable for the public to be able to receive? And I'm not sure that that's necessarily a recommendation, but I just wonder if we can produce the annual report in such a way that it might be partitionable for the translations.
I think it would depend. I think broadly the answer would be no. If you're partitioning the annual report, but you could take things that you considered for the annual report, and if you decide that they're not, like if it's important and a public note, but maybe not directly responsive to legislative mandate, maybe it's above and beyond, it's dessert. You could elect to carve that off, keep it within the page limit where you're guaranteed county support. You could have other materials that you design for public release. Like if you wanted to submit another report like you did this year, pretty lengthy, detailed design for the experts, policymakers at the county executive's office and the office of the county council. You could draft more of like a citizen's guide, civilian's guide to it that could be shorter, that you could have translated, which you could still be referring back to maybe analytical components of the report. But I think you may run into difficulty if you were to produce like the full annual report in English and then produce only partial.
Oh, I see.
Because either someone might think, this report is different, or it's something that would shortchange with access. Now there are things that for example, in the current report that will not be translated, but that's more structural in nature. Citations to documents, like references. Just editorially, we're not translating because it could make it more difficult for that person to actually find the document because it has a particular name. And like department rule manuals are not available necessarily in more than one language.
Right, I'm still leaning on the chair's recommendation for greater outreach, and I sense that a report of our activities and recommendations would be a seminal part of the outreach to the extent that the receiving audience can have it. But I also recognize the hazards. Well, I'm not talking about chopping it up. I'm fully cognizant of that. I just wish there was a way that instead of a 33 page or 32, whatever it was, page report, in outreach, we might have something that was more like a 5 to 10 page that people might read. But anyway, still going.
Good thought. All thoughts are was highly valuable. I wanted to thank you again, staff, for such a outstanding report from the complaints all into our itinerary for 2026. In action item number 7 is next. Excuse me, which is public comment or comments. I don't see anyone from the public present virtually or here in person. Give a second for the staff to overlook that. No one from the public. Chuck, I see you waving your hand, but you're not a member of the public.
No, I had a question on the staff report.
Okay, all right. Before we do that, then let's go to before we conclude that action item, then what's your question? I'm sorry, Chuck, I didn't see it before.
No, not a problem. All right, so basically it's 2 questions. First of all, let me commend staff for that. I love the way that was laid out, giving us the full calendar. Excellent job. The question that I have, and Forrest, maybe you can help me with some clarification on this. I want to make sure that I'm understanding it properly. When it comes to trial board, if the officer in question is not satisfied, am I hearing it correctly or understanding it correctly that they can then go into the traditional court system? Is that what you were laying out?
Great question. So it's that is currently the case. Once if an officer chooses to have a trial board rather than accept the discipline proposed by the administrative charging committee or a higher discipline proposed by the chief, they can have their trial board, which is a judicial proceeding in front of an administrative law judge, sitting with one civilian member appointed by this board and one officer of equivalent rank from the same department. If the trial board also elects to sanction the officer, that officer can appeal to the Montgomery County Circuit Court for a new trial. And only at that point, either their exhausting appeal or accepting discipline at one of the prior levels, does a case become legally having reached final disposition for the purposes of COMAR and the MPAA. The bill that's been proposed, and apologies, I actually just closed that window. What this would do, and if you, we can send the link out, but if any of you have interacted with Maryland General Assembly website before, or have not, if you go to mgalg.maryland.gov and click on legislation, and actually the easiest way so far to do this, either selecting Senate or the House, there's a filtered bar where you can start typing like police, and pretty much anything related to the MPA will come up if there is anything. This particular bill is very short. So I'll actually just read it for you, Phil. At any time before a hearing is held by the hearing board under section 3106 of this subtitle, a police officer who is denied a right granted by this subtitle may apply to the circuit court for an order that directs the law enforcement agency to show cause why the right should not be granted. The police officer shall make the application, 1, if the police officer is an employee of a county-wide or local law enforcement agency, to the circuit court of the county in which the law enforcement agency is located, and 2, if the police officer is an employee of a statewide or bi-county law enforcement agency, to the circuit court for Anne Arundel County. So the Maryland National Capital Park Police are a bi-county. Everyone else that's in this county is local.
Mhm.
So that goes to more the trial board, or effects on trial board and litigation. Because as a reminder, the police departments are the prosecuting entity in these cases. They're the ones who are whose attorneys actually go and argue the case of why the officer should be disciplined. Or as you've seen in some of the trial board decisions you've received, having a not guilty agreed upon statement of facts or other factual disposition. This is something that can affect the process and affects the process in a way that occurs in fully after the involvement of both the board and the committee. For the administrative charging committees, for example, are not able to intervene in trial boards if something if they're told information about trial board that they think is problematic, their duty is already discharged at that point. However, this is again something that you can work with intergovernmental affairs to try and take a position on. Though, like most amendments to the MPAA, except the one amendment that passed last year, there are 10 steps in the Maryland General Assembly's legislative process. The first two happen automatically, which is the first reading and referral to committee. This one has been referred to committee. It was referred to committee in the 2025 session, and that's as far as it went.
Okay, thank you. The other question that I had, Laura, maybe you can answer that. In the complaints that we're going to see, for lack of a better way of putting it, will there be some color commentary? Who's filing the complaint, what happened, all of that good stuff, so that we can get a better picture of that particular complaint?
Not from the complaint report that I read. You will not get further details than what was read.
If you, in the board's complaint viewer, there is the fourth column in the complaint view tab. If it is a complaint that originated in your complaint form, there's a link to the complaint form so you can read it in full. But that is probably the most commentary that you would be receiving currently.
Right, so and because of the processing, we understand that. I thank you, Chuck, that we can see again what's coming through the portal, because it's in the portal, we have access to that portal. But it still presents a confidentiality type of issue because of names and things that are on the report for our review. Because once it's moved up to the LEAs from us, they then, if it's deemed as eligible, they do their own internal investigation, and from there, after that, it's between them and the ACC. Once they complete that investigation for the ACC, then to review that investigation. So while it's in the PAB's portal, as Ford said, we're able to what's it, tab 4, I think it is.
Yeah, in the viewer, the first tab you got is ACC summary. The second one is bright gold complaint view beta.
Yep. You see, yep.
And the 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th column, PAB complaint form. The only thing that's in that column is either link, with a link that'll take you straight to the form, or it's blank, meaning there is not a document to be produced with it.
So,
okay.
Yep. So, any other questions to the staff report? Unheard. As we revisit again, correctly, action item number 7, public comment. So, I don't see any members of the public. So we are going to move on from that action item and move on to action item number 8. Other business. I really would like for us to determine, unless I missed it, and Forrest already suggested a date, but for some reason, I don't know why the 23rd is stuck in my head. I think that has something to do with Baltimore County's PAB. Is that right?
Baltimore City's PAB, yes.
Okay, so I would like to present to the PAB in reference to Mr. Silver. That's a good starting point to have him come here this fresh from our 2025 annual submission report. To have him here would help set us on the path of what again I call, and now what? To have him here. So I don't know what.
Yeah, and it may touch on some of the questions that were raised earlier, like about the nature of PAB responsibilities and ACC responsibilities, scope of data. Because the Maryland Police Training and Standards Commission by law is the body responsible for generating the regulations for implementing the NPAA.
Yep.
It also provides all of the training for administrative charging committees and all of the training for the trial board members appointed by this board.
So the question in hand is, would we like, if Mr. Silver is available for the 19th of February, jump right in with him? I think it's a good idea to start it with him. Because then when we move to March, we can kind of adjust, reconfiguring, ad hoc groups and things like that in March, but get him here in February, the 19th. I would like to suggest that, it's our regular meeting anyway, but let's just make it all about.
I agree.
All in favor of that? I don't know if we need to make a motion for that or not, but a vice chair or parliamentarian who acts as our parliamentarian can let us know. But I don't think we do, because it's just a regular meeting anyway. It's just a matter that we all in agreement with having the staff send him out, Mr. Silver, an invitation.
I like the formality. I like the formality of votes to the board. I would just do that if we can.
Rather that's why I brought it to your attention, Mr. Parliamentarian. So I would like to make a motion to the board that right now, tonight, we ask our staff to send an invitation out to Mr. Silver, the Executive Director of MPTSC, for February 19th meeting.
A second.
Have a second? All those approved, I say aye, or raise your hand and
Aye.
thumbs up. Any nays? The ayes have it. We will ask the staff to send out an invitation to Mr. Silver for February 19th at our second meeting. With that said, Vice Chair, I don't know if we need to do this, but I think the Baltimore City's PAB is asking for you and I to be able to sit down and meet with us. I think it's from the 23rd to the, what date was that they were open to?
They indicated they were going to be in the area the 23rd to the 25th of February. And if those dates didn't work, they asked if you're willing to send additional dates that work for you through March 15th.
Okay, George, did you want to, since it's not really a quorum needed for that, it's just you and I, do that offline to look at some extra dates? Or, and my question would be with that, George, I'm sorry, Forrest, what facilities would we have access? Because I'm sure they're talking about in person, or they're talking about Teams meet, or?
They described it as being in the area to visit surrounding counties.
Yeah, I did hear that.
But assuming a date's cleared, we can arrange conference rooms or
Okay.
other
Okay.
venues.
All right, George, do you want to kind of offline, since it's not a need for a quorum for you and I to discuss availability of our dates? And therefore we could respond to them, have our staff set up any meetings or rooms that we would here in the Leggett building?
Yeah, that works.
Okay, so we'll get back,
Sounds great.
all right. Um. So we got that. George and I will be together on that. Okay. Are there any final comments, because staff?
Oh, just sorry, the Q1 LEA selection.
Um. Did I miss that? I did, didn't I?
You did.
Ah, thank you. All right, so the meeting with the LEA leadership invitations. I had, thank you, for bringing it back, because it would have came, and I'm like, oh my God, because I wrote the note right here. That first quarterly meeting is March, correct?
Correct.
I would like to put out as a suggestion. Since the last fourth Q4 was centered around the context of the September 15th and response thereafter in their group response to the question that we presented to Tacoma Park. Would the board want the first quarterly meeting in March to be with all of the municipalities? Or do we want to maybe focus with the MCPD first? Which means giving us a chance to kind of look at their report that they just put out for 2025, because I would suggest that we do that if we're choosing the MCPD. I've read it, and I'll read it again, but I encourage you to go and read it. It's on the, Montgomery County Police Department's website. It's broken down, I think it's about, maybe, 13 pages or 63, I can't remember the number, I've been reading so many reports, but I encourage you to do that. So the question again is, do we just, for the first quarterly meeting, all of the municipalities, or do we want to maybe first, for the first quarter, meet with DMC, PD? Any thoughts? We'll pick.
I like the idea of starting with MCPD and then, I don't wanna say moving down, but you understand hierarchically.
Any other thought to that? George, I see your hand.
Just briefly, just want to make sure that if we can I know we worked on this for the report for Forrest and Laura, but just a summary of the complaints for, in this case, MCPD for the last quarter. That would be helpful.
A summary of, we can produce a summary of the ACC decisions for the last quarter for MCPD. I don't know that we have a way of summarizing the complaints.
The number that would be great. The AC, I'll take that as well. But yeah, I think just from our own report, it's just a matter of summarizing for the board what number of complaints received across categories for the end of the quarter.
So for complaints received,
Right.
we don't have categorization information.
From-
Categorization information only attaches once there is an ACC decision, because the categorization.
Yeah. You're right. Let's start with the ACC decisions. I'm just trying to get a sense for when we meet with a particular LEA that we are discussing or having an opportunity at least to discuss things as it relates to complaints received or adjudicated by the ACC, outcomes, right? Those decisions, so that they inform in some way, not in its entirety, but that they can inform what questions we have for them.
Great, that is, yeah, I concur. That would be good if we could have that summary. So if we ask the staff to prepare that for us, then it seems like we're on track with maybe starting off the first LEA quarterly meeting with MCPD. Am I tracking that correct, Vice Chair, and everyone else?
That sounds good to me.
Yes.
Okay. All right, so our first quarterly meeting, with one or more, we're choosing one, which is the MCPD. The staff is going to prepare that requested report of the vice chair showing the outcomes of that. I guess that would be still some of the 2025 fourth quarter into, is that right? Would that be the?
So the information that would be novel from relative to your annual report, the annual report included complaint data through
Okay.
November, the end of November 2025, and ACC decision data through the end of Q3 2025.
Okay,
So you have both those now. So in the viewer, your ACC information updates quarterly. Your complaint information, aside from the narrow period during which you're finalizing the report to make sure that you don't have to keep rewriting as someone files a complaint on the hour after you vote to approve your annual report. That updates anytime that we queue the system update. So you have more up-to-date information relative to complaints than you do relative to ACC decisions. So by the time you meet with MCPD, you will have data for complaints that at least reference MCPD. You'll have the complaint forms for cases if they came in through you, as well as any information that was able to be drawn out of the system demographics. Complaints, though, that are about MCPD officers, where someone fails to designate this is about an MCPD officer, that wouldn't be reflected in the complaint dashboard. That doesn't get fixed until there is an investigative packet confirming which department is the appropriate one. The
And the ACC decision, so to date.
okay. So we could, because I don't want to belabor the time, but I started, two thoughts came in my head and then three came behind those. So are we in agreement that this first quarter meeting with the MCPD is about preparing to talk and discuss this report, adjudication thereof, and all of that, as opposed to trying to prepare questions?
I say
Because we're mandated to have questions. That was something we were doing as a courtesy, giving them for questions. So am I, tracking that, then we'll just focus on maybe sending that out and let them know that would be the subject matter
Mhm.
of meeting. Am I tracking that right? Is anybody, unless there's a correction or anything?
So it's never been pursued, but one of the options that's always been floated when questions are requested is in lieu of questions. You could just give broad general topic areas, like you want to cover their report, you want to cover your report, so that they are, so that you can be sure that they are on firm enough footing that
This is not a gotcha.
yeah, so
Right.
they know conceptually what you're going to be going for.
I think that's wise and fair, professional to do that. So we can just And make those
Yeah,
questions.
it could be as broad as you want.
Right, very broad, yeah. Okay, I think we all in agreement with,
I agree.
with that recommendation from our administrative director. Right, okay, and maybe if you have those broad things, I'm sure we're in agreement with it. I think the point is starting off with them somehow because of the context of what it looked like when we left off with that unified letter that was, signed off on, so, okay. Any other comment onto that before we move on? None heard? I would like to make a motion to go into a closed session to address child board options. Going to the closest, to go into that closed session, the board vote to close the session to discuss usage of special legal counsel pursuant to Maryland Code General Provision, Article 3-305, Bravo 1, to discuss the appointment, employment, assignment, promotion, discipline, demotion, compensation, removal, resignation, and or performance evaluation to appointees, employees, or officials over whom the public body has jurisdiction, and any other personal matter that affects one or more specific individuals, to consult with counsel to obtain legal advice pursuant to Maryland Code General Provision Article 3-305B7. Before that motion is taken to a vote.
Just briefly, procedurally, for this closed session, just let you know how it's going to work, because it'll operate a little differently. The staff won't be present. You're going to be those of you who are online are going to be placed in a breakout room. If you lose connection for whatever reason, you can return to the main meeting, and Ms. Byers will readmit you to your closed off breakout room. We'll be adjourning to another physical place. Before we run off, we do just want to make sure that the folks who are in here, when we close the doors, can get out. I'm sure you can, but just in case,
Like that, thank you.
I'd like to be sure. And your council has taken on the responsibility of preparing the requisite minimal notice or minutes for reporting out of the closed session for the next meeting. So we'll close up shop once you've taken your motion, and if we're just gonna close the doors, just make sure you can still open them.
Okay, all right. Thank you for updating us on that, and thank you, Laura, for preparing to help us with all of the technical stuff. So the motion has been made. Is there?
Second.
We have a second. All those in favor with closing this and going into a closed session?
Aye.
Aye, and thumbs up on there. See everyone thumbs up. Any nays? The ayes have it. We will close this session and go officially close, going into our closed session. We'll stop the recording, and as you you'll be able to explain, you go to the breakout rooms.
Correct. It sounds like you'll be in a in order to keep the owls